Hi guys, it's Haven, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a really interesting, really fun fandom SUPERWHOLOCK inspired little photo frame. Now, this is a fairly easy DIY, and it's going to represent the Sherlock, Doctor Who, and Supernatural fandoms. All you need is a photo frame. It can be smaller, it can be larger. This was one we had around my house. This is a 5x7 photo frame. You can get these at the dollar store. All you're going to need to do is take out the back of the photo frame. There should be a piece of cardboard in the back. If there's not, you can cut one to size. You can throw this piece of paper away, and you actually don't even need a canvas for this project. You just need this piece of cardboard. As I said, it's a fairly inexpensive project. Set the glass aside and set the rest of the frame aside. You're going to need it later. Now for this, you need several colors of paint. You need gray, white, black, red, and blue paint. You're also going to need some paintbrushes and some water. So let's get started by prepare our white paint. We are going to water down our white just a little bit because acrylic paint is very thick and I don't want to waste any of my paint, and I can add just a little bit of water into the cup that has the paint in it. I'm currently, if you can hear scratching in the background, that would be my rabbit. So you're just going to mix this up, and then you're going to use a flat brush, or you can use whatever paintbrush. I'm just using a flat brush to add a single layer of white paint to your canvas. I'm just going to refer to this as our canvas. It does not have to be completely thick like solid white. You just want to cover the cardboard in a light color. This makes the other colors show up better, and it makes all the other colors go on a little bit easier as well. Now, as you can see, I've drawn a thin gray line to divide it into 3 sections. You can use your ruler to help with this. I just sort of freestyled it. Now, you're going to separate it into 3 different colors. You're going to paint this section red, this section blue, and then you're going to mix a little bit of blue into your gray for this section. So let's get started. Okay, now that you have that, you're going to begin to draw the outline. You want to make sure that your paint has completely dried before you start the next step, because if it hasn't, you're going to end up with smeared paint everywhere. Now for the next step, and I've been using a piece of paper that I took off the back of this just for my paint because I don't want to get out a palette and have to wash that because I'm lazy. And you're going to pour a little bit of paint onto your palette, your piece of paper, whatever you're using, and you're going to use one of your smaller, more fine-tipped brushes. And you're going to just begin to paint a line down the center on each side, sort of like you're flanking it, starting here and here. Next, you're going to take some of your white paint, and using the same large brush, which of course you've rinsed off, that you used to do that, you're just going to paint down the center completely white. Now you do want this to be totally white, so you may have to do maybe even 2 or 3 coats of the white paint, but take your time because the end result is totally worth the time that it takes. Once again, the scratching and loud noise in the background is my rabbit Calliope destroying a cardboard box. Okay, now that everything has dried off nicely, we can begin what I see as the most difficult part, which is the writing. You're going to write Super in the white that's over the red, Who in the blue, and Lock in the navy blue. I start with Who in the middle because it's in the center, and that makes it easier for me to gauge how large the other things need to be. And don't make your words too large at first, because you can always make them you can always add more to make them larger, but it's difficult to make them smaller. This is going to be upside down for you guys because I can't angle the camera properly while I'm trying to paint without messing up the photo and just making it difficult for everyone. So you're going to have to bear with me. Okay, now that I have everything set, I have all the letters done. Now I did a different font for each one, Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock. I'm going to start doing the details that go behind each one on each color pad. The Sherlock is going to have the 221B Baker Street symbol on it. Doctor Who is going to have the TARDIS, and Supernatural is going to have the anti-position symbol thing. I'm going to start with the easiest. I'm going to flip this around, so it's going to be upside down again. I'm sorry. And you're going to start by drawing a black line down the middle where all of it is linked. If you are doing this while following along the video, please feel free to pause the video at any time so that you can catch up with your own project. As a side note, you need to be prepared for this to take at least an hour to dry before you can put it in its frame. And it takes about, I'm going to say 15 minutes to dry in between each different layer or step. I take it out and I set it next to one of my small mini fans, and that speeds up the process a little bit. But it is very important that you allow it to dry fully before you move on to the next step, because otherwise your paint is going to smear together and it's not going to be very cool looking. So now that you have that done, you're going to draw the police box sign above it, just a little bit below the original blue, and you're just going to draw a rectangle. Now you're going to draw down from the black box directly all the way down to probably the H in the Who sign. Now you're going to draw a box in each one. Don't worry if your lines on the inside are not straight. We're going to be filling this with white paint anyway. In case you already weren't aware, this project does have a lot of layers, and as I've said before, I'm going to say it again, it's very important to make sure to let each layer dry completely before starting the next. And then we're going to go down to under the SUPERWHOLOCK sign. We're going to make a continuation of the line that's up at the top, going down. Again, if you can hear scratching, my rabbit is destroying something in his cage. And you're going to do a small box. And this one you're not actually going to fill in with any colors, so do try and make your lines as neat as possible. And you're going to have second boxes that actually go down off the paper, like that. And there you go. You're going to let all of this dry before moving on to the next step. Now, I'm going to continue with doing the supernatural symbol, and I'm probably going to just have to speed this up, or I won't even film it, otherwise this video will be super long. But long story short, you're just going to start by drawing the edges of the symbol. Right above here, you're going to draw a triangle. And then down here, under the E and the R, you're going to draw a sort of a shorter triangle. And it's going to meet out down here. I don't know if this is making any sense at all to you guys. I'm just going to have you watch me do it. I'm bad at explaining things. Now I'm going to draw a circle around, connecting each of our points. There we go. And now I'm going to draw almost like flames on the circle. Don't worry if they're not all completely identical. They won't be. and I'm just sort of freestyling it. Okay, as you can see, we are almost done. I went ahead and did the outlines in black for everything else. It's very important that you have a fine-tipped brush for this. Mine isn't as tiny as I would like it to be, but it did a pretty good job. Now we're going to begin filling in with white, and I'm going to try and work around the camera to do this so that it's not upside down again, because I was rewatching clips and I realized it might have been hard to figure out what I was doing. So you're going to be filling in both of these boxes with white. Make sure to leave the black border, and then each of these little sections over here with white. Don't add any white into this. These two up here are supposed to make it look like doors. We're going to need some yellow to do that, which I forgot to include in the paints that we're going to be needing. Okay, now that we have our SUPERWHOLOCK sign almost completely done, we just have a few itty-bitty details to add. Okay, now that you have filled in all of the white on your SUPERWHOLOCK sign, I'm going to mix a little bit of yellow with a little bit of gray, and I'm going to begin filling in the letters on my 221B sign. Take your time with this step because you do want there to be a little bit of the black outlining that you did still visible when you're done. Fill in the B completely as well, even though it's not going to look much like a B until we add the black dots in the center. Okay, we are almost done. This has been an incredibly long video, but this is actually not super easy. It's a little bit really complicated, as I'm learning. But anyway, as we go on, what we're going to start doing is we filled all of this in with yellow, and now we're going to take our black once again, and we're going to make sort of squares in the windows for the TARDIS, and then we're going to do some writing in white at the top, and then we will be done. It's going to draw a line right down the center of your box, and then you're going to do two separate lines, and there you go. And then just replicate the process for the second window. Okay, we have our thing almost completed, and now we just need to add one of the finalizing details. We have to let people know who may not already know that this is in fact a police call box. So we're going to write on the top, police box. If you want to start in the center with your lettering and move outward, that's what I'd recommend doing. And there you go. So that is actually the finalizing detail. You are completely done. Now you're just going to let it dry for about an hour to make sure that everything is dried, and then we can do our final step. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we can begin our final step, which is putting it into the frame. So take out the back of the frame, and then you're just going to very carefully, very gently drop the cardboard in. And once again, you want to wait until it is completely dry. And then you're going to pop that in behind it, making sure that it doesn't have a chance to move. Fasten the back of the frame back on. And there you go. You have your very own SUPERWHOLOCK framed.